Welcome back, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. Hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope things are moving along and continuing on a day by day type of battle that we have with all the distractions and all the things going around us that can kind of hold us up and not allow us to continue on a journey. So a lot of great comments, a lot of great feedback and different things that I'm getting. I really appreciate all that. I appreciate any kind of donation. I also appreciate subscriptions. Just letting me know that what I'm doing here is making a difference. I really appreciate that. That's kind of reason why I'm doing it. It took me a long time to kind of think about doing it, just kind of get out there and to kind of give the message out. I do think that we suffer a lot right now in this society after many years of, I think, kind of brainwashing males and females on how to behave. And I think that, this is just going in the wrong direction. It reminds me so much of the history that I read with the Roman Empire and Babylon and all these places that self-destructed because the roles became different for males and females, and all of a sudden now the males were acting a lot more feminine, and the males were acting a lot more, and the males were acting feminine, and the females were acting a lot more masculine. And you can see it in their voices and different things like that. But biologically, that is just very unnatural, and I think this is one of the things that, in my opinion, God frowns upon. So I think it's something to look at. So that kind of brings me into the topic that we're going to talk about today. And it was something I saw with a nice video on from Stellar Thoughts. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, please go look at Stellar Thoughts YouTube videos. And they do some nice videos on different types of things. And this one's called That Women Do Not Want to Rule. And I think this is important to kind of look at. So let's look at this a little bit. Women do not want to rule. Yes, if you look at things over the last, since the 1960s and 70s, there was a movement that tried to go ahead and say, okay, women were need to be equal and need to have rights and those type of things. And all those were precipitated by what the, thinking about with abuses that they had in society. And I think, there's a lot of good that came from those movements. And I think certainly to make the awareness and to avoid abuse and all those kind of things, some of those movements were, at least initially, positive when it came to those type of things. And I remember that as a kid kind of growing up. But what ended up happening, like with any kind of movements and things that happen over a period of time, it gets to too much of an extreme. And what's ended up happening now after all these years is that you get a lot of males who are afraid to act in masculine ways. And actually they're being yelled at and downplayed and things like that when they try to have some masculinity and show that. So they become gun shy, and over the years then they either avoid contact, or they just don't they try to act in a more simp way. And so a lot of the males unknowingly are becoming simps, and in a lot of cases they don't realize what they're doing to hurt their relationships and hurt in those type of situations. The bottom line, guys, is that you have masculine energy and we have feminine energy. And the feminine energy wants to connect with the masculine energy, but the masculine person has to be strong. And that's the only way it's going to end up working out. And this is why when you look at feminine energy with feminine energy, it doesn't work. Even though one may decide to be more masculine than the other, it just doesn't work, in the long run. And the same thing happens when it comes to masculine energy. You need that feminine and masculine energy. You need to have someone who has both. And that's the key to situations. This is why we've had a lot of problems in relationships and things that we see. So when we're really looking at this, we're looking at what's happened in our society over the last, 30 some years. And we talk about the fact that because of what's happened, and because a lot of males tend to be a lot more feminine, and they can take control, and I've seen this in dating situations where a lot of the older women who are in their 30s and 40s really struggle to find men who are taking any kind of leadership role at all, because they're just not used to, they're used to the attitude that they've been kind of told is correct. That they need to be more feminine, more emotional, right? Well, this is the exact opposite. Even though females may say they want that, this is the exact opposite of what they really want. They want somebody who is a dominant type person. And they may not say that, and they may fight against it at times, but the bottom line is that they really want someone who has got that masculine energy to protect, to be able to do those type of things. And our society is moving away from some of those type of things, and it disturbs me a great deal. So we look at this whole thing as that even though, because of what's happened, because there's so many lack of men in situations and having that sort of masculinity, a lot of females have had to take over roles. And they've taken both masculine roles and feminine roles, especially if they're having a family. And so the bottom line really is that a lot of times they've had to take on roles, to make money for their family. And so they're taking on a lot of roles, and some have career goals and all those type of things. And that's one thing that's important to realize, that males don't really care about females' jobs and things like that. They want certain things from the female, and certainly if that's not the case, then they're not going to go to in that direction, or at least commit to that person. Once again, we're not talking about losing energy and things like that. We're just talking about long-term commitment. And so the bottom line really then is that a lot of females tend to be by themselves, not understanding what's happened with this movement, because they become so masculine, and that males stay away from that. And so in a long sense, when they're sitting there and the years go on, they don't really want to do both. In fact, a lot of them don't even really want to rule. They may be wanting a position, and having say and things like that, but actually doing that work and doing the role of a male and then a female is very tough, especially in a family type of situation. So when we look at this situation, we have to realize that the loss of masculinity has caused a lot of these issues. And I think this is why males need to kind of step up, why all these movements are becoming a lot more stronger, and that males are really standing up for themselves, saying, this is not what men should be. Men should be strong. Men should be leaders. Men should be defenders. Men should be taking care of things, taking care and protecting things, right? This is what a male should be, in my opinion. And this is when you get back down to the whole idea of releasing and retention. The true male comes out of you when you start doing those type of things. And then females can tell that sort of power you have. Your first goal when you walk in a room is just not to find attractive females to talk to and chase them down. That's a simp behavior, right? You walk in there and you got things on purpose and goals and things like that. And guys, when you do that, females recognize that. They recognize that you're born to rule. That's why we call you guys the kings. Because you guys have that masculine energy, that you guys are born to be the leaders, the kings. We have gotten so goofed up in the society when people are brainwashed and all these different things about being more feminine and be more simp behavior, that men have lost that attitude. They've lost that idea. And that's very dangerous to a society. We've seen that with the Roman Empire. We've seen that with the English Empire. All these things happened because the roles all of a sudden got really confused, and all of a sudden all these behaviors that people had decided to be lascivious. What I mean by that is corrupt and immoral type behaviors, and all of a sudden anything was okay. And this is what we're getting to in our society. When we don't have a set of rules and things that people go by, that they can do anything they want to do, this is what happens to societies. And so you always have that movement from being, rule-minded to no rules. And now I think it's coming back. It's going to take some time again, because it took 60, 70 years to get to the point where people didn't want to have any rules, right? To the point now where I think people want to have some solid moral rules that make things better, because they're seeing a lot of unhappy people who are depressed, who are on pills all the time, high anxiety level, because they're basically not knowing what they should do. And instead of going to the good book, which a lot of people don't believe in, then they basically go ahead and just try to figure it out on their own. And what they figure out is that you need to get back to those rules that have been time and tested and practical, not even from a a relationship with God standpoint. This is more time tested. You look at the books that we're talking about, religious books we're talking about, and they're right on target. Practicality. There's a reason why they're there, right? There's a reason why things are good for society, and there's things that are bad for society. And the good thing about society is that you have a masculine energy, and you need to use that masculine energy, right? You are the king. You are strong. And don't let other people go ahead and distract you from that or tell you otherwise. You need to be in control of the situation and knowing exactly what's happening. Now, things may go well for you, may not go so well for you at times. But never forget the fact that you're the king and you're using your energy for a purpose that's positive in the long run. And those are the things that become really important. So when we get back to the situation, women are in positions of power. There's no doubt about that. They control things. There's no doubt about certain things like that. But down deep, when you really get down to it and you're asking them, what is really that important? The bottom line, that feminine energy should be things like nurturing and taking care of things and making sure families are run well and those type of things. We've lost that, my friends, and it's time to get that back. Okay? So, hopefully I've answered this kind of question. There was some question on this one. Once again, go to Stellar Thoughts. I like that, the set of videos they're doing and talking about retention, different types of things like that. And I highly recommend that. All right, until next time, battle on.